The Complete Prophecies of Nostradamus. Century 2. Towards Aquitaine by the British Isles, by these themselves great incursions, rains, frosts will make the soil uneven. Port Ceylon will make mighty invasions. The Blue Head will inflict upon the White Head as much evil as France has done them good. Dead at the sail yard the great ones hung on the branch. When seized by his own, the king will say, "How much?" Because of the solar heat on the sea, from Negrepont the fishes half cooked, the inhabitants will come to cut them when food will fail in Rhodes and Ginham. From Monaco to near Sicily, the entire coast will remain desolated. There will remain there no suburb, city, or town, not pillaged and robbed by the barbarians. That which is enclosed in iron and letter in a fish, out will go one who will then make war. He will have his fleet well rowed by sea, appearing near Latin land. Near the gates and within 2 cities there will be 2 scourges, the likes of which was never seen. Famine within plague, people put out by steel, crying to the great immortal God for relief. Amongst several transported to the isles, one to be born with 2 teeth in his mouth. They will die of famine, the trees stripped. For them a new king issues a new edict. Temples consecrated in the original Roman manner, they will reject the excess foundations, taking their first and humane laws, chasing, though not entirely, the cult of saints. 9 years the lean one will hold the realm in peace. Then he will fall into a very bloody thirst. Because of him a great people will die without faith and law, killed by one far more good-natured. Before long all will be set in order. We will expect a very sinister century, the state of the masked and solitary ones much changed. Few will be found who want to be in their place. The nearest son of the elder will attain very great height as far as the realm of the privileged. Everyone will fear his fierce glory, but his children will be thrown out of the realm. Eyes closed, opened by antique fantasy, the garb of the monks, they will be put to naught. The great monarch will chastise their frenzy, ravishing the treasure in front of the temples. The body without soul longer to be sacrificed, day of death put for birthday. Divine spirit will make the soul happy, seeing the word in its eternity. At Tours, Gien, guarded eyes will be searching, discovering from afar her serene highness. She and her suite will enter the port. Combat, thrust, sovereign power. Shortly before the monarch is assassinated, Castor and Pollux in the ship, bearded star, the public treasure emptied by land and sea. Pisa, Asti, Ferrara, Turin, land under interdict. Naples, Palermo, Sicily, Syracuse, new tyrants, celestial lightning fires, force from London, Ghent, Brussels, and Susa. Great slaughter, triumph leads to festivities. The field of the temple of the Vestal Virgin, not far from Elne and the great tube is hidden in the trunk. To the north, rivers overflown and vines battered. New, impetuous, and sudden rain will suddenly halt 2 armies. Celestial stone fires make the sea stony. The death of 7 by land and sea sudden. Newcomers, place built without defense, place occupied then uninhabitable. Meadows, houses, fields, towns to take at pleasure. Famine, plague, war, extensive land arable. Brothers and sisters captive in diverse places will find themselves passing near the monarch. contemplating them his branches attentive, displeasing to see the marks on chin, forehead, and nose. The ambassador sent by Berimes, halfway repelled by unknown ones, reinforced with salt 4 triremes, will come in Euboea, bound with ropes and chains. The imprudent army of Europe will depart, collecting itself near the submerged isle. The weak fleet will bend the phalanx. At the navel of the world a greater voice substituted. Palace birds chased out by a bird very soon after the prince has arrived. Although the enemy is repelled beyond the river, outside sees the trick upheld by the beasts, ferocious from hunger, will swim across rivers. The greater part of the region will be against the hiss. The great one will cause it to be dragged in an iron cage, when the German child will observe nothing. The foreign god will betray the fortress, hope and shadow of a higher marriage, god deceived, fort seized in the press, Loire, Saône, Rhône, Garonne, mortal outrage. The divine word will be struck from the sky, one who cannot proceed any further, the secret closed up with the revelation, such that they will march over and ahead. The penultimate of the surname of the prophet will take Diana for his day and rest, Thursday. He will wander far because of a frantic head and delivering a great people from subjection. He will transpire the sky, the waters, and the snow, and everyone will be struck with his rod. One who the infernal gods of Hannibal will cause to be reborn, terror of mankind, never more horror nor worse of days in the past than will come to the Romans through Babel. In Campania, the Capuan river will do so much that one will see only fields covered by waters. Before and after the long rain, one will see nothing green except the trees. Milk, frog's blood prepared in Dalmatia, conflict given, plague near Treglia. A great cry will sound through all Slavonia. Then a monster will be born near and within Ravenna. Through the torrent which ascends from Verona, its entry will then be guided to the Po, a great wreck, and no less in the Garonne, when those of Genua march against their country. The senseless ire of the furious combat will cause steel to be flashed at the table by brothers, to part them death, wound, and curiously the proud duel will come to harm France. The fire by night will take hold in 2 lodgings, several within suffocated and roasted. It will happen near 2 rivers as one. Sun, Sagittarius, and Capricorn, all will be reduced. The letters of the great prophet will be seized. They will come to fall into the hands of the tyrant. His enterprise will be to deceive the king, but his extortions will very soon trouble him. Of that great number that one will send to relieve those besieged in the fort, plague and famine will devour them all, except 70 who will be destroyed. A great number will be condemned when the monarchs will be reconciled, but for one of them such a bad impediment will arise that they will be joined together but loosely. 1 year before the Italian conflict, Germans, Gauls, Spaniards for the fort, the Republican schoolhouse will fall. There, except for a few, they will be choked dead. Shortly afterwards, without a very long interval, by sea and land, a great uproar will be raised. Naval battle will be very much greater. fires, animals, those who will cause greater insult. The great star will burn for 7 days. The cloud will cause 2 suns to appear. The big mastiff will howl all night when the great pontiff will change country. During the appearance of the bearded star, the 3 great princes will be made enemies, struck from the sky, peace, earth quaking, Po, Tiber overflowing, serpent placed upon the shore. The eagle driven back around the tents will be chased from there by other birds, when the noise of cymbals, trumpets, and bells will restore the senses of the senseless lady. Too much the heavens weep for the androgyne begotten, near the heavens human blood shed. Because of death too late, a great people recreated, late and soon the awaited relief comes. After great trouble for humanity, a greater one is prepared. The great mover renews the ages. Rain, blood, milk, famine, steel, and plague. In the heavens fire seen, a long spark running. The great old enemy mourning, dies of poison, the sovereigns subjugated in infinite numbers, stones raining, hidden under the fleece, through death articles are cited in vain. The great force which will pass the mountains, Saturn and Sagittarius, Mars turning from the fish, poison hidden under the heads of salmon, their war chief hung with cord. The advisers of the first monopoly, the conquerors seduced for Malta, Rhodes, Byzantium for them exposing their pole, land will fail the pursuers in flight. When those of Hainault, of Ghent, and of Brussels will see the siege laid before Langres, behind their flanks there will be cruel wars. The ancient wound will do worse than enemies. For several nights the earth will tremble, in the spring 2 efforts in succession. Corinth, Ephesus will swim in the 2 seas, war stirred up by 2 valiant in combat. The blood of the just will commit a fault at London, burnt through lightning of 23's the 6. The ancient lady will fall from her high place. Several of the same sect will be killed. The great plague of the maritime city will not cease until there be avenged the death of the just blood, condemned for a price without crime, of the great lady outraged by pretense. Because of people strange and distant from the Romans, their great city much troubled after water, daughter handless, domain too different. Chief taken, lock not having been picked. In the conflict, the great one who was worth little at his end will perform a marvelous deed, while Adria will see what he was lacking during the banquet the proud one stabbed. One whom neither plague nor steel knew how to finish, death on the summit of the hill struck from the sky. The abbot will die when he will see ruined those of the wreck wishing to seize the Before the conflict the great wall will fall, the great one to death, death too suddenly lamented, born imperfect. The greater part will swim near the river, the land stained with blood. With neither foot nor hand, because of sharp and strong tooth, through the crowd to the fort of the pork and the elder born, near the portal treacherous proceeds, moon shining, little great one led off. Gallic fleet through support of the great god, of the great Neptune and his trident soldiers, Provence reddened to sustain a great band, more at Narbona because of javelins and darts. The Punic faith, broken in the east, Ganges, Jordan, and Rhone, Loire, and Tagus, will change when the hunger of the mule will be satiated. Fleet sprinkles, blood and bodies will swim. Bravo, ye of Tamins, Gironde, and La Rochelle, O Trojan blood, Mars at the port of the arrow. Behind the river the ladder put to the fort points to fire, great murder on the breach. Mabus then will soon die. There will come of people and beasts a horrible rout. Then suddenly one will see vengeance, 100, hand, thirst, hunger, when the comet will run. The people of Geneva drying up with hunger, with thirst, hope at hand will come to fail. On the point of trembling will be the law of him of the Cevennes. Sevine. Fleet at the great port cannot be received. The Gauls, Ausonia, will subjugate very little. Po, Mane, and Sine, Parma will make drunk. He who will prepare the great wall against them, he will lose his life from the least at the wall. The sloping park, great calamity to be done through Hesperia and Insubria, the fire in the ship, plague and captivity, Mercury in Sagittarius, Saturn will fade. Through great dangers the captive escaped. In a short time great his fortune changed. In the palace the people are trapped. Through good omen the city besieged. The blond one will come to compromise the fork-nosed one through the duel, and will chase him out. The exiles within he will have restored, committing the strongest to the marine places. The efforts of Aquilon will be great. The gate on the ocean will be opened. The kingdom on the isle will be restored. London will tremble, discovered by sail. The Gallic king, through his Celtic right arm, seeing the discord of the great monarchy, he will cause his scepter to flourish over the three parts against the cope of the great hierarchy. The dart from the sky will make its extension, death's speaking, great execution, the stone in the tree, the proud nation restored, noise, human monster, purge, expiation. The exiles will come into Sicily to deliver from hunger the strange nation. At daybreak the Celts will fail them, life remains by reason, the king joins. Celtic army vexed in Italy. On all sides conflict and great loss, Romans fled, O Gaul repelled, near the Ticino, Rubicon, uncertain battle. The shore of Lake Garda to Lake Fusino, taken from the Lake of Geneva to the port of L'Orgueil, borne with 3 arms the predicted warlike image, through 3 crowns to the great Endymion. From Sens, from Autun, they will come as far as the Rhone to pass beyond towards the Pyrenees mountains. The nation to leave the march of Ancona by land and sea, it will be followed by great suites. The voice of the rare bird heard on the pipe of the air vent floor. So high will the bushel of wheat rise that man will be eating his fellow man. Lightning in Burgundy will perform portentous deed, one which could never have been done by skill, sexton made lame by their senate, will make the affair known to the enemies. Hurled back through bows, fires, pitch and by fires, cries, howls, heard at midnight, within they are placed, on the broken ramparts, the traitors fled by the underground passage. The great Neptune of the deep of the sea, with Punic race and Gallic blood mixed, the isles bled because of the tardy rowing. More harm will it do him than the ill-concealed secret. The beard frizzled and black through skill will subjugate the cruel and proud people. The great Chiron will remove from far away all those captured by the banner of Selin. After the conflict, by the eloquence of the wounded one, for a short time a soft rest is contrived. The great ones are not to be allowed deliverance at all. They are restored by the enemies at the proper time. Through fire from the sky the city almost burned. The urn threatens Deucalion again. Sardinia vexed by the Punic foist, after Libra will leave her Phaethon. Through hunger the prey will make the wolf prisoner, the aggressor then in extreme distress, the heir having the last one before him. The great one does not escape in the middle of the crowd. The large trade of a great lion's changed. The greater part turns to pristine ruin, prey to the soldiers swept away by pillage through the Jura mountain and Suevia drizzle. Between Campania, Siena, Florence, Tuscany, 6 months, 9 days without a drop of rain. The strange tongue in the Dalmatian land, it will overrun, devastating the entire land. The old full beard under the severe statute made at Lyon over the Celtic eagle, the little great one perseveres too far. Noise of arms in the sky, a Ligurian sea red. Wreck for the fleet near the Adriatic Sea, the land trembles stirred up upon the air placed on land. Egypt trembles, Mahometan increase, the herald surrendering himself is appointed to cry out. After there will come the outermost countries, a German prince upon the golden throne. The servitude and waters met, the lady serves, her time no longer adored. The circuit of the great ruinous deed, the 7th name of the 5th will be, of a 3rd greater, the stranger warlike. Sheep, Paris, Aix will not guarantee. One day the 2 great masters will be friends, their great power will be seen increased, the new land will be at its high peak. To the bloody one the number recounted. Though life and death, the realm of Hungary changed, the law will be more harsh than service. Their great city cries out with howls and laments, Castor and Pollux, enemies in the arena. At sunrise one will see a great fire, noise and light extending towards Aquilon, within the circle death, and one will hear cries, through steel, fire, famine, death awaiting them. Fire, color of gold from the sky seen on earth, air struck from on high. Marvelous deed done, great human murder, the nephew of the great one taken, death spectacular, the proud one escaped. Very near the Tiber presses death, shortly before great inundation. Very near the Tiber. Very near the Tiber presses death, shortly before great inundation. The chief of the ship taken throws into the bilge, castle, palace in conflagration. Great Po, great evil will be received through Gauls, vain terror to the maritime lion. People will pass by the sea in infinite numbers, without 250,000 escaping. The populous places will be uninhabitable, great discord to obtain fields, realms delivered to prudent, incapable ones, then for the great brothers dissension and death. Burning torch will be seen in the sky at night near the end and beginning of the Rhone. Famine, steel, the relief provided late. Persia turns to invade Macedonia. Roman pontiff, beware of approaching the city that 2 rivers flow through. Near there your blood will come to spurt, you and yours, when the rose will flourish. The one whose face is splattered with the blood of the victim nearly sacrificed, Jupiter in Leon, omen through presage, to be put to death then for the bride. Roman land, as the omen interpreted, will be vexed too much by the Gallic people, but the Celtic nation will fear the hour. The fleet has been pushed too far by the north wind. Within the isles a very horrible uproar. One will hear only a party of war. So great will be the insult of the plunderers that they will come to be joined in the great league. End of Century 2, The Complete Prophecies of Nostradamus by Michel de Nostradame.